Welcome back. Welcome to a new edition of After the Whistle. Christmas is almost here. I haven't done Christmas shopping. Don't know when I'm doing Christmas shopping. So in light of the holiday spirits, we got NFL news for you. Todd is back. He's fresh, decked out in his English gear. I had mine last week, so I have some more. They need to give me some more. English.
I got you, dog.
Hook it up. I need some more gear. All right. First things first. Besides that, what's going on, man? You got the season starting up, right?
Getting ready. We had the jamboree over the weekend. Kind of rough. They were introduced to hardworking females on the court. Reading was tough. Bunch, evil girls, disguised in Reading uniforms. They were definitely a well-coached team. And, we got to get better as a team and as players. We got to be better teammates as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This Friday, season opener for them. Today, season opener for the boys. They play Charlestown at 7. We'll get into all that later. But first, last week when we talked about the Patriots, we said weird things happen in Miami. Anybody that's ever been down to Miami, weird things happen. Some we could talk about, some we can't. This one we can't talk about. The Patriots losing to the Dolphins on the last play of the game. And if you watched the game, you probably had the same reaction that I had. I just didn't even know what to say. It was just bad. It was bad on so many levels. That should never happen. Especially in a professional game. That should never happen. College, yeah. But in the NFL, that should never happen.
Yeah, I think they felt they had the game already won for the most part. Them last couple seconds, you don't think something like that's going to happen. But once every couple years, something like that happens. It just so happened to happen to the Pats this year.
Yeah, there was a lot of brain farts in that game. There was too many brain farts in the game. The first brain fart was Brady. To end the half, they were in the red zone. They didn't have a timeout left. There was about 11 seconds left. They were going to run one play. And at that time, two things you don't do. You don't take a sack and you don't make a short completion. And Brady took a sack. Don't know why. And he explained, the other day he thought they had a timeout left because they had taken a timeout or something like that. And he thought, for some reason, they had one timeout left. That's why he took the sack. But he admitted that he had a brain fart. But yeah.
I mean, that's on my mom's famous line, nobody pays you to think. He should have knew for a fact. Like, you've been playing this game long enough. You're a professional. You're one of the greats. And you weren't completely focused. You guys didn't give this game your undivided attention. You guys probably been thinking about next week, the playoffs, and thought you could just run over the Dolphins because they're the Dolphins. That's what you guys usually do, but it just so happens that they got lucky in the end.
Yeah, and then the other one was Belichick. He thought himself. I don't know. I was trying to figure out why Gronk was in the game, was in that play in the last play, because there's no way that he thought Tannehill was going to throw a Hail Mary, because that guy, he wasn't going to throw the ball 69, 70 yards in the air. He just couldn't do it. One, he don't have the arm strength, and two, he was already hurt. He had a messed up ankle, and some other parts was injured. So Belichick outthought himself.
Yeah, sometimes you overthink, and yeah, you're exactly right. You're bringing one of your best offensive player in for defense, which is, we never see Gronk on the defensive end. And I mean, he probably was trying to cover all bases, not thinking that particular play was going to happen at the end of the game.
And the crazy thing is, they had a timeout left. Patriots had 1 or 2 timeout left. When they saw the formation, they could have called. I don't know why he didn't call the timeout. Bring back in Devin McCourty. I don't know why Devin McCourty was out in the first place. He's their best safety, the best defensive back. It was.
I mean, look at all these factors that factored in them losing the game. They were all mental mistakes. To me, it just shows you weren't here.
Yeah,
you weren't fully there.
Miami, I'm telling you, they was doing something Saturday night. I don't know what, but they was doing something Saturday night. And if you look at the Patriots season, look at the quarterbacks they lost to. They lost to the bum in Jacksonville, who's now benched, Blake Bortles. Mm-hmm. They've lost to Matthew Stafford, of all people, Matthew Stafford. They lost to Tennessee. What's his name?
Mariota.
Mariota, and now Ryan Tannehill. 4 quarterbacks that were just like.
I mean, Mariota's playing all right.
Yeah,
He's playing solid. But I get what you're saying, though. They're not elite, high-caliber QBs, and that's probably the thing. You're probably playing so much for these elites. When you got these guys, you're like, all right, we got to play a little bit. We should be able just to handle them because we're the Pats, and we are who we are. and it's not working out anymore.
Yeah, it's not. Especially their defense is, it's still a liability. It's been a liability for, ever since past the 2008 season. Their defense has been a liability from like 2009 onward. They haven't had a great defense that you could actually rely on, like, get me a stop. Go out there and get me a stop to win the game. Because if you think about it, each of the Super Bowl losses they've had, all their defense had to do was get one stop.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully Brady can put up enough points in the playoffs to minimize those problems, or the defense can just
kick rocks.
Get a couple stops.
All right.
Or kick rocks.
Kick rocks. Steelers. Patriots got the Steelers coming up. With the Steelers, they dropped the game to the Raiders. No one saw this coming, but this also shows the dysfunction of the Steelers because Ben Roethlisberger got hurt in this game, but it wasn't severely hurt that he had to leave the game. They just kept him. They just didn't put him back in because they said Josh Dobbs was playing so well. And he had like 4 completions, and I don't understand if your starting quarterback is healthy. I don't get why you don't put him back in the game, especially for a guy who doesn't even play, who does not see the field that much.
That might have been just some excuse they gave people just to shut him up. There might have been something under, behind the scenes that Ben might have said. There might have been something that we just don't know. We just don't know about.
But the crazy thing is, they brought him back in the game.
Man,
a couple minutes left in the fourth.
To be honest, look at this team that they're playing, the Raiders. So probably another team they didn't feel like they should be really planning for. Mental mistakes, mental coaching mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the Raiders. Like, how serious you got to take this team?
Yeah, but for them, they squandered an opportunity because they could have a playoff opportunity. They could have moved up in the seeding in the playoffs. They could have probably moved up to the number 2 seed or whatever, because they got the matchup with the Patriots coming up. But this was a game they should win just because, especially this time of the year. These are the games that you should win because this will help determine either you have a home playoff game or you play on the road, because their division, they haven't locked their division yet. The Ravens are right on their heels. The Ravens still have a chance to win their division. So this is the Steelers coming to the end of the season. They got some tough games, and this one we'll talk about right now. They got the Patriots coming up this Sunday, a game both teams need. The Patriots need to win this game just to have a chance of trying to get that number 1 seed, because the Chiefs got 2 games up on them, but the Patriots still have a chance to get that number 1 seed.
I mean, the Steelers did drop this. They needed to win this game. But once again, you got to play the full game, and you got to plan. You have to play in the best of your abilities. You can't cut corners. You can't just be like, oh, they're not as good as they were last year or they should be this year.
Yeah.
You got to just compete and just play like they're a high-caliber team.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this Patriots-Steelers matchup, it's in Pittsburgh. I believe the game's in Pittsburgh. But the Patriots, no matter where they play the Steelers, they always have their number. Even the Steelers will come in with the high-powered offense, but their defense isn't that great. And for some reason, the Patriots always have their numbers. And I think it'll be more of the same this year, because this team is just they're a little undisciplined. They are undisciplined with off the field stuff, and then their little lack of discipline on the field. Their defense is suspect. So I think this is a game the Patriots could bounce back with.
I'd say they both, I will say they're unpredictable as well. So the first word you said, and I add unpredictable, because you don't know what Steelers team is going to show up. Unfortunately, you just literally have no clue what team's going to show up.
And that's with all that talent too, you would think a team like this would have a better record than they have right now. But that just goes to show you if you have the talent. But it's always the little things. So it's gonna be the AFC is coming. It's gonna be interesting coming down. Another game, Monday night game, the highlighter jersey game. The Vikings and the Seahawks. There wasn't much to this game. This was basically a defensive game for the most part. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins showing you once again why he's stealing money from the Vikings, because did you know in games against teams that are over 500, he's like 5-24 in his career. And once again, this is 2 weeks in a row, primetime game against a playoff team, and Kirk Cousins just stunk up the joint.
I mean, First of all, how do you lose 21-7 when your QB throws for 20 for 33 and 208 yards and 1 touchdown, and the opposing QB throws for has 10 completions for 72 yards and 1 intel? Like, how do you lose that game?
I don't. That's the Kirk Cousins experiment right there. That's the Kirk Cousins experience right there. And the Vikings were better off just keeping Case Keenum because he actually did what they needed him to do. Kirk Cousins, they're asking him to do way more than he's capable of doing, and he just shows you the guy just isn't that guy that's going to lead a Super Bowl caliber team to the Super Bowl. They might not even make the playoffs.
This is true. I'm just so shocked when I look at the little stat line. You would think, like, if you didn't see the score of the game, you would think, oh, they won by a couple touchdowns. And you look, it's like, what? They lost by a couple?
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
You have a couple interceptions here, then you have another one that turned into the defense scored a touchdown on, and 4th down, you guys are in the goal line, you don't score, in the red zone, you don't score. So just a whole lot of factors with the Vikings. With the Seahawks, they're on a roll. I think they've won like 4 or 5 in a row or something like that. And they're proving they might be a tough out in the playoffs because they run the ball and they play defense. That's always a recipe for a win.
Yeah, and they can win close games, and they can win them tough, dirty ones.
Yeah, and they have a quarterback who's been there, who played in the Super Bowl. So this might be one of those teams we might have to keep an eye on in the playoffs because they might ruin someone's postseason hopes.
I can see that.
Yeah. In other news, Patrick Mahomes, I think they need to give him the MVP right now. They need to give that man the MVP right away just because the man threw a no-look pass. I've never seen a no-look pass in football before, but he did it.
Me either.
And what was impressive is how he did it. The Ravens are the number 1 scoring defense and the number 1 allowing yards. They're number 1. So what he was able to do, they did give him some fits, but he led the Chiefs back to the game-tying touchdown in the 4th quarter, and he's just showing you that he doesn't fold under pressure.
Yeah. Other than,
Oh, yeah.
that Monday night game. Yeah. Was it Thursday or Monday night?
Monday night.
All right, Monday night game. But he's balling. He's balling. He's one of the few QBs that throws over 40 passes damn near a game.
Yeah.
And still wins. And only has like 1 intel compared to some of these guys this week that are throwing 3, 4, 2 intels that they throw over 40. And he threw over 50. He went 35, 53 for 377, 2 touchdowns, and 1 intel. Yeah,
I think they were throwing it a lot because they were down. Yeah. Usually that always happens when you're down, but the only 1 interception though. You throw the ball over 50 times, you might get like 3 or 4 interceptions, but 1 interception.
Yeah, that's just 53 chances for the defense to have a chance to intercept it. It usually doesn't work in the QB's favor.
Yeah, and the way he plays, the way he does it, he's gonna throw something to you that, if you don't catch it, then you just miss the opportunity because he gives defense an opportunity to intercept the ball. He got a little Brett Favre in him.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson's playing. He's playing solid. Yeah, he's definitely doing more than anybody else thought.
Yeah. And this shows you how you can change your offense around to fit a quarterback's skills because the Ravens sure did that, and it's working for them. He had a few plays in here that his receivers let him down, but yeah, he was having a good game, but the Chiefs, this win gave them a little edge in for that number 1 overall seed. They could get home field advantage to the playoffs, and Arrowhead is a tough place to play anytime, especially late in the year. It's cold. You got crazy people yelling at you. You don't want to be there if you're down 14-0. It gets colder, and you're like, I want to go home. So it's gonna be if they get that number 1 seed, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Another team that's on the streak, the Cowboys. Cowboys and Eagles, this game, I didn't watch. I missed the first 3 quarters, but the 4th quarter, the 4th quarter was out of control. There were plays being made all over the place. Amari Cooper he had himself a game. He had over 200 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, showing that trading him for a number 1 picks was worth it. But the Eagles, man, their secondary. This is what happens when you're playing with 3rd and 4th stringers in the defensive backfield. That's just what happens.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's like the 3-headed monster with the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Prescott went off for 455. He threw for 42 out of 54 with 3 touchdowns. And you have Zeke carrying the ball 28 times for 113 yards. It's like, who you gonna cover?
Yeah.
So, and those guys are second, third, fourth string guys, so it's like they really had no chance.
Yeah. But the Eagles, they put themselves in a position because they were down, but they put themselves in position to get back in this game. They were hosed by a few calls. Opening kickoff, the guy fumbles. The Dallas return man fumbles the ball, and 3 Eagles were on the ball. Eagles come out with the clear possession of the ball, and the replay says there's no clear-cut evidence of who recovered the ball.
I don't really get into replay conversations.
Yeah.
I don't really know what these guys are looking for.
Yeah, because I thought the point of instant replay was to get it right. When you see that 3 players on the same team have the ball, how is it not clear-cut? What exactly?
Yeah, we have to find the rules in the rule book to help us understand that.
I don't understand the NFL rulebook. I think they just make it up as they go. It's one of those, I think it's like Wikipedia. You could just erase it and change it during the game. Yeah, make it as you roll, because legit, that's what happens. And especially, let's not even talk about catches. Nobody knows what a catch is, but this game was tough for the Eagles. They had a chance to actually make the division race a little more interesting, but they lose this, and Carson Wentz, I think they're going to shut him down for the season. I know he's not playing this Sunday, a back injury, back hurt, yeah. I think they're going to shut him down because this loss, I think they figured out they're not going to win the division or make the playoffs. I mean, they still have a small chance, but.
At the end of the day, it's about securing your future and making sure your prized possession is healthy, and your QBs use your prized possession with your free franchise, so.
Yeah, speaking of prized possessions, the Colts. Andrew Luck led them to a victory over the Texans. The Texans had won 9 straight. They were rolling offense and defense, but the Colts came in there. They put together one heck of a game. This was actually a great game, back and forth. Both quarterbacks were making big plays. The plays were being made all over the field. But in the end, the Colts, they needed this victory. They needed this win because they needed to stay alive for the playoff race, for the playoff hunt. And they're still in there. They're right now on the outside looking in on the wild card. But this win gives them a better chance of getting that wild card.
True. They're staying alive, and Luck showing why he might be the offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely in contention for it, going for 27, 41, 399, and 2 TDs, 1 in tow. But when you throw over 40,
comeback player of the year too.
Also, if you don't get offensive player of the year, you might get comeback player of the year, which you probably rightfully should.
Yeah.
You're throwing over 40 passes and only having 1 in tow. Like we said last week, like when you throw over 40 times, that's just too many times for the ball to be in the air.
Yeah, and also with them, I think, maybe not so much this game, they utilize their running backs a lot, especially with the short passes, the way the Patriots do with their running backs, little short passes, which kind of almost is like a running play, which helps Luck a lot. And they're not trying to. He's not holding on to the ball as long as he used to. As he used to hold on to that thing a long time and take unnecessary hits. And now he's getting it out of there quicker than he used to.
Yeah, being more efficient. Taking less hits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Taking it easy on your body.
Yeah.
And don't forget T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
Only had 9 catches for almost 200 yards, 199. So that makes it easy for you. You got a big yard guy like that.
Yeah. The Texans, they missed the opportunity. This was an opportunity missed because they could have moved past the Patriots for that 2 seed, and they could have got a first round bye in the playoffs. But now they're still in the number 3 seed, and if there's a team that I think that needs home field, it would be them, because every time they go on the road in the playoffs, they are just terrible. They don't put up numbers or anything. They're just a shell of themselves. So if there's a team that needs home field, it'd be them.
Yeah, they definitely play like a whole different team home.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is different. They're more alive.
Yeah.
And that's mostly with anybody though, but they definitely need it the most.
Yeah. And their defense is solid, but let them down this game. Too bad. So speaking of defense, we had a defensive matchup on Sunday Night Football, the Rams and the Bears. It was who wants a turnover? That's what I'll call this game, because you get a pick, you get a pick, you get a pick, everybody gets a pick. There was just interceptions being thrown all over the field. Both quarterbacks look like first-year rookies. They look like first-year players who were shell-shocked.
I mean, there was 7 total interceptions in the whole entire game. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, and Trubisky, he only had 110 yards, 1 TD, and 3 intos, and he won the game.
Yeah.
Like this week is ridiculous with some of these stat lines.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was their defense. Their defense did a lot. The Bears' defense, they're the real deal. I'll tell you, if a team wins the Super Bowl just solely on if a defense can lead a team to the Super Bowl, it's the Bears' defense because they get turnovers and they also score. So. And they have athletes all over the place. It's tough. This is a tough team. The Bears are tough. And they run the ball. The way to play them, you got to force Trubisky to pass the ball. Force them to pass it. Because if Trubisky passes the ball more than 25 times, there's a high chance you're going to win the game.
Yeah, only passed it 30, got 3 intos.
Yeah.
And then Goff is it's probably his worst game as a pro.
Yeah, actually.
So, you know, he threw it 44 times, and we already talked to you about throwing it 40 times.
Yeah, some of those interceptions he threw, you were just like, who are you throwing the ball to?
Yeah, he had one of them nights where he just
It got
wasn't
cold.
there. Yeah.
They got cold. It gets cold in Chicago.
And they play in the dome.
Nah, they play outside.
No, I'm talking about the Rams.
They play outside.
They play outside?
Yeah, the Coliseum.
Oh, yeah, my bad. They changed
You forget
it.
there.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm
but LA
day.
weather.
Yeah,
LA weather, Chicago
that's basically
weather.
playing like, yeah. So I was still wrong, but technically I was kind of right.
Yeah, they got it. They got in there. It was just like, when you start. I mean, Eric Dickerson said it. When you play in the cold and you get down 14-0, or you're down two scores, it starts getting a little colder. And you kind of don't want to be there anymore. The hits start hurting a little more. So, I mean, the crazy thing is they weren't giving the ball to Gurley.
You would think he'd be your best bet. You're not throwing the ball up, you're not having the ball in that type of atmosphere.
Yeah,
he's getting it going. Like you would think, it'd be a game that you're more likely to use your running backs and your QB in that type of weather.
Especially he's the best running back in the league right now.
Yeah.
So you would, that was the type of game that they needed to give him the ball because he could have made Goff's life a lot easier, took some pressure off him, but they just weren't. I mean, the coach, McVay, he was just, he wanted to pass. He was a pass happy.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you gotta switch it up.
Yeah,
and they have been switching it up, but maybe it was just one of them days. Or who knows how Todd was really feeling? We don't never know some of these things. So
true.
There might have been a reason why Goff had to pass so much.
Yeah,
he usually doesn't.
Yeah, there's no reason why. But there's no reason why Todd Gurley should only touch the ball 11 times in a game.
I agree.
11.
His name's Todd. He's touched the ball every time, if you ask me.
This is his philosophy in basketball, too.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Throw me the ball. Give me the ball.
I make things happen.
Another team that's on a soar, the San Diego Chargers, they're rolling. They had a tough game against the Bengals, but they squeaked out the victory. Now, this is setting up for a big game Thursday night with the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is for the division because the Chiefs already beat the Chargers earlier this season. So if the Chargers can win this game, it could be a tie for the division, and who knows how that goes toward the end of the season. So it's a big game coming up. And Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, they're rolling right now. They're playing very well on both sides of the football.
Yeah, they are. He is playing great football, going 19 for 29, 220. Only one into, but he's getting them yards.
Yeah.
But when they come up against the Chiefs next week, I don't think it's going to work out for them.
The thing is, these are both high-powered offenses, so it might. But the Chiefs the Chargers, their defense is very solid. If they have a very solid defense, they have defensive backs that can actually keep up with the high-powered offense of the Chiefs. So this is going to be very, very interesting to me. I think this might be the best game. My concern is Melvin Gordon, if he's going to play or not. I'm not too sure if he's going to play or not, but that he's a key factor in that. Because, one way to keep the Chiefs' offense to slow it down is keep them off the field, and you do that by running the ball.
True. And once again, you can't have Rivers throwing the ball ridiculously like most of these QBs. You got to have a well-balanced offense, keep the defense on their heels, and just stick with your game plan. Hopefully, y'all win.
Yeah, we'll see. So this is a big Thursday night game between the Chargers and the Chiefs. Playoffs is like weeks away. We're almost at the end of the season. And lastly, a team I don't even know what happened with these teams. At one point, they were 6-2. They were playing solid football. Then they went to Pittsburgh. They got their behinds whooped. allowed 50 points, and ever since then they've dropped 5 games in a row. The Panthers, they're just, I don't even know, they're just a shell of themselves. Their defense isn't playing well. Their offense has spiraled downwards. They're just, I don't know. I think they have PTSD from that Steelers game.
They might have. I mean, when I seen the score, I actually watched the game. I was wondering what happened too, because you're the first person I thought about, because I know you're a big Cam fan.
Yeah.
But then I seen Baker out there getting busy, and I was like, you know, he's doing his thing with the Browns. I think we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, we might have thought it might have been somewhat of a fluke, but he's actually doing some things.
Yeah, he is. They're playing well, especially the Panthers. They're supposed to be a defensive team. They got athletes all over the place on defense, but their defense has been letting them down the past, you know, since that game against the Steelers. They just hasn't been the same. And, you know, put that hot seat on Ron Rivera, because it's about to heat up. It is about to heat up, especially if they don't close out the season in the right way. These guys are 1-6 on the road this season. 1-6 on the road. That's just terrible. You can't.
Definitely. When you have Cam, he's a lead quarterback. Yeah, and you can't go 1-6 on the road. Just being who you guys were a couple years ago, you guys aren't that far from that. You know what I mean? But to get back to Baker Mayfield, I like that he performed this game because of what was going on last week with him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he could easily run his mouth and then play bad, and then they would have been like, well, he shouldn't say this, shouldn't do this, but then you're gonna run your mouth and you produce. Yeah. It's like, what can they really say? Yeah. So I'm happy for him. You know.
I still don't think he's that good, but I'm not a big Baker guy. I'm not a big anything from Oklahoma unless you're Adrian Peterson. That's all right, we're going to go to Craig with the fantasy update, and then we're going to talk about some more stuff. I don't even know what we talk about, but yeah. We go to Craig, and then we come back. Okay.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to No Huddle here on After the Whistle. My name is Craig, and you've seen me on my show, The Flex, that airs Wednesday nights at 9. But I'm here on No Huddle to give you my top picks of the week. For quarterbacks, this week I think the top 2 quarterbacks are going to be Phillip Rivers and Deshaun Watson. Phillip Rivers going up against the weak defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're vying for that #1 spot in that bye week. As are the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a great game. But I think Phillip Rivers is going to be the better quarterback this week because they have the better defense. Because they have the better defense, which is going to make Patrick Mahomes struggle just a little bit. Not a lot, because Patrick Mahomes doesn't struggle so much. But I think that Phillip Rivers takes the cake. And then you have Deshaun Watson going up against the Jets. I don't think the Jets have anything for Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson, with having arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, is going to bring it downfield early and often. So Phillip Rivers, Deshaun Watson, those are my quarterbacks. For running backs this week, I really like Ezekiel Elliott. They're going up against the Colts. Now, the Colts are usually tough against the run, but they have to worry about Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's going to stretch out that field. He's going to give Ezekiel Elliott everything he needs to run the ball down the field. So I really like him in this game. I'm not too worried about that. Tariq Cohen going up against Green Bay. Normally I wouldn't say Tariq Cohen's name, but I think that because he's going up against Green Bay and their defense is not very good, I think that he's going to have a pretty good game. I think he's going to get the ball down the field enough, and I think he's going to make it happen for him. Also, for running backs, obviously Todd Gurley. I think Todd Gurley's going to have a good week. He had a bad week this past week. Like I said, the Rams are slowing down right now, but I think that Todd Gurley's going to want to turn it back up. And then also Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara has a pretty good matchup as well. Going up against the Panthers, I think he's gonna turn it on this week, and I believe he's gonna get at least 2 touchdowns. For wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, is probably the best wide receiver in the NFL, and he has a great matchup. A matchup that is primed for him to break out. As well as Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's going up against a weak defense in the Kansas City Chiefs, and if Phillip Rivers is going to be the #1 quarterback, look for Keenan Allen to be the #1 wide receiver. I like Tyler Boyd. He's going up against the Raiders. He did not have a great week this past week. I look for him to recover this week. And then I also like Josh Gordon. We're going up against the Steelers this week. Josh Gordon had a really good week this past week. He got a nice touchdown. I think Josh Gordon is going to have a good game against the Steelers. We need this win. We're not going into this game lighthearted. We're really mad about the way that last game ended. We're coming in with a vengeance. We're going to knock the Steelers down a peg, and we're going to take that victory. And to also add to that is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's coming off a big week. Last 3 weeks, he's put up over almost 100 points in 3 weeks. I think he breaks 20 points this week for you. I think he's going to do well. For defenses, I like Houston, and I like the Seahawks. For the tight ends, I like Cameron Brate, and I like George Kittle. Those two guys are good. So those are my picks for the week. My name is Craig. This is No Huddle on After the Whistle. And check out my show, The Flex, Wednesday nights at 9. Until then, have a great night.
And we are back. Before we go to NBA news, we forgot to talk about George Kittle, the tight end from the San Francisco 49ers. He almost broke the single-game receiving record for a tight end. He had 210 receiving yards at halftime. All he needed was 5 yards. And they only threw the ball to him one time in the second half. One target in the second half. So he ended the game with 210 yards. Shannon Sharp holds the record. It's 214 yards for a game. And one target in the second half. They didn't even. I'm fighting somebody. I'm fighting somebody.
I only call that one thing. That's hate. Somebody didn't want him to break that record. There's no reason why.
I think I have a clue. The coach, Kyle Shanahan. You know his dad, Mike Shanahan, was the coach when Shannon Sharp broke that record. I think he was on that coaching staff too.
He might have been.
He might have been an assistant.
Ain't no excuse why that should happen. You know, a lot of the next generation to be great, a lot of them to break some records, a lot of the names to be put up there with the greats, and just a lot of stuff just to happen.
Yeah.
A lot of history to happen. Stop hating.
Especially when he's 5 yards away. Just throw the ball, give him a 5 yard.
Nah, that's an insult. I would have snatched somebody up after the game. Somebody would have been snatched up. You probably got a bonus for that. That's big money.
You get a bonus. They send your uniform to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the uniform you wore for the game, and your cleats you wore for that game. They send it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I turned to the Hulk after that game. Somebody would have been snatched up.
Yeah, Kittle, he's been having a great season, but I completely forgot about that. I'm just like, yo, imagine being a basketball player and you 1 point shy of 1,000 yards and the coach doesn't run play for you. 1,000 points, I said 1,000 yards, 1,000 points.
No, that's insulting. That's insulting.
Yeah, well, George Kittle, hopefully at some point in your career you get to try to break that record, but that's.
I don't think it's gonna happen again.
I don't know.
Yards in the first half.
210 in the first. All right. That's enough of that. All right, NBA talk. So the Chicago Bulls, they have a little mutiny going on against their interim head coach Jim Boylan because this guy doing the most. He was doing the absolute most. So the Bulls got their behinds whooped by the Celtics Saturday. I think they lost by like 50 points or something like that.
It's like an AAU score, bro.
Yeah, it was terrible. So in that game, Boylan, for some reason, he decided he benched the starters. He took them out the game and never brought them back in. And he said he's going to make them practice hard the next day, which is on Sunday after the game. And, there were certain players that were telling him no. Wendell Carter Jr. was one of them, a rookie. He was telling him, I'm not doing this. Zach LaVine was another one. He was like, no, I'm not doing this. So I think this was brought up to management. This whole situation, the whole trying to overwork them. They had some players brought it up to management, and you can't do this with grown men, especially men who are getting paid. You can't.
I mean, these guys are professionals. They play 82 games a season. You're an interim head coach. You're like a substitute coach. You come into class when you were sub in school, you're not going to just jump into the curriculum. You're going to give them some worksheets and make sure they know how to act and they chill for that hour. What's this dude think he's doing? he need to relax. After they got smacked. They got smacked. You're benching the starters, so the starters probably a little offended because the organization. It's embarrassing getting smacked like that on TV.
Yeah.
Like that's just embarrassing to your manhood. Like it's just embarrassing. Like as a man, like you don't want to get smacked like that on TV. And then you can't do nothing about it. You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Like come on. Then you got this guy who don't really he ever played anywhere. He been an assistant all these places, no head coaching job really except for college. Then it's like you gonna coach the next day after getting smacked and back to backs. Like who is this guy?
Yeah, he gotta relax. He definitely needs to relax because if you watch the Bulls play, that's a team. They don't want to play defense. They have no interest in playing any type of defense. I don't think they have any interest in listening to this guy. So,
to be honest, you probably gotta break that team up. It just seems like there might be a little like too many egos, or you got to get the right guy in there. Like get a Pat Riley or something. I mean, Pat ain't leaving the Heat, but you get somebody that has that legacy, that has the resume and credentials, so them guys look at him like, he played somewhere and he's been coaching. Not some guy that looks like he's donuts all day. You know what I mean? Like, please. Like, dude, like, what's that guy's name? He's the box, Billy Bean or whatever his name is. Butterbean?
Butterbean.
Yeah, like, come on, bro. Look at the picture.
He looked like Tyson Fury. He looked like Tyson.
Like, man, I ain't got time for that guy.
Yeah, I would listen to him. The Bulls are young. They need a no-nonsense coach. That's what they need. They need a no-nonsense coach who actually understands how it goes in the NBA, because you can't have these guys, they play back-to-backs, and then you want to try to have them practice the next day. No, that's not how it works. They just play back-to-back games, and you talk about, I'm going to practice them hard, and no. That's not going to work.
He could have said, maybe a shoot around. You want to come get some shots up. I'll be here from a certain amount of time. But you don't just be telling grown men what to do when you knew.
Yeah.
You ain't been there long enough.
Yeah, and you bald-headed. There's, young guys aren't going to listen to a guy with no hair. Young guys with hair, they're not going to listen to somebody bald-headed. They're just not. I'm just saying, they're really not. Like, what can you say to me? You got no hair.
He definitely Professor from Despicable Me. not Groot, not Grung, the other old guy.
Before this goes off the rails again, the Celtics, after making some changes in their lineup, this new lineup they got they got Gordon Hayward and Jaylen Brown coming off the bench, and it's actually working, especially for Jaylen Brown. I think he's had a couple 20-point games and a 30-point game coming off the bench. Gordon Hayward as well. I think Gordon Hayward had a 30-point game coming off the bench. And they inserted Marcus Smart in the starting lineup and Marcus Morris. So it's working. It works. The lineup works.
I mean, what we said before, it's going to take some time to figure out their pieces and all that. Like, and Gordon got out that slump. He had over 30-point game. Yeah. Tatum's coming into his own. Yeah. They're figuring out that some of these young guys they're gonna be some dogs. Like Tatum's man. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. So
and I think that for Jaylen Brown, especially, I think coming off the benches, I think it's good for him because he's been a lot more aggressive since coming off the bench because in the starting lineup, you got Kyrie, you got Tatum. These are two guys that kind of need the ball in their hands a lot. And, for Jaylen Brown, he's not that great of a three-point shooter yet, so they can't just, dish it off to him and he can make it consistently. But when he's with the second unit, he could show off that he could take you off the dribble. He could put you in the post. He could hit the open three when he needs to. So, I mean, it's helping him a lot.
I think him coming off the bench is probably less stress as well. Yeah. The starters have a particular game plan they want to, implement and get in the game and stuff. And then when the bench players come in, it's more or less just get in there and do what you do. Yeah. So he's able to score, be more of a scorer rather than the facilitator and doing something that really isn't his game.
Now we see their offense is catching up to their defense because they were playing great defense when they were in that slump, but the offense just wasn't there. Now it's all coming together now. So I mean, this team is, I told people you don't panic, and you don't panic 20 games into an NBA season because everybody started trying to figure it out. But another news, Steph Curry came back and he's been going off. I think he had a 20-point game, he had a 38-point game, he had a 40-point game, and
that's just Steph Curry.
Yeah, the team is coming. I think DeMarcus Cousins he's working out with the G League team now. Draymond's back, so. I mean, it's about to get interesting because the official start of NBA season is in a couple weeks on Christmas. So, if these guys they get rolling, I mean, there ain't too many people gonna beat them when they get rolling, especially when the way they play, because they, they're selfish, but they're not selfish, if I can say, because each guy knows their roles, but it knows when to do what they have to do, but they all do it within the team confinement.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. Like, I mean, they all know what they need to do on the court, and I feel like they probably has the mindset or philosophy as a team, like, if you open, shoot it. No, I mean, not wide open. Like, a guy's a foot away from you, shoot it.
Yeah.
His hands down, shoot it.
Yeah.
So, and they're great. They're good enough scorers and good enough shooters to be able to do that. So some guys are going to go off some nights, and some guys are going to go off another night.
Yeah.
And you have to be selfless as a team in order for that to happen.
Yeah. And with this team, I think, because last year, the last 2 years, I think they ran the offense through Durant. They just because he was new. Like this year, they said, no, the offense is going to run through Steph. And for some reason, they look way better than they did last year. And he's playing at a higher level than he played it during his MVP season.
I mean, he's going back to playing like Steph, playing how he's able to play. When he was putting up those big numbers, it's an adjustment. Playing with KD, no different than LeBron playing with Wade. Yeah. Somebody has to fall back a little bit, but because they shoot so well that nobody really has to fall back that much compared to Wade and LeBron, because they both can't really shoot like that. So one couldn't be super aggressive. Yeah. So it works out for them because they're such great shooters.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's our NBA take. We got to keep rolling because my man got to get out of here soon. All right. Athletes Corner, and then we're going to come back, talk a little college football, and we're going to wrap it up with our predictions. I don't think we did predictions last week, but yeah, Athletes Corner, we're going to wrap it up. All right, so, Welcome to Athletes Corner. We're here at St. Mary's. I'm here with Chib. He's a senior. I'm here with another senior, Jalen Echeverria. He's hoping to have another big season, 20-something points away from 1,000 points in his career, man. And we're here with Coach Brown, this St. Mary's head coach. There's a lot of expectations for this team. Coach, another year. How's it going, man?
Very exciting right now, first week of practice.
Guys, a weekend, what's been the highs, what's been the lows, what's something you guys are really good at, and what's something that's going to improve during the season?
Yeah, so last year we got eliminated in the North Final, and especially for me and Jalen this year, since we're the lone seniors on the team, we're taking it more personally.
Kids are working hard, and we're trying to get ready for our first opening night with the big Pistol Pete Classic on Friday night against Central. It will be a tough one. It's a glorified scrimmage, more like an exhibition game, but, guys are ready to compete.
Last year, last go around here, how's it feel, man?
It's amazing. I've been here since 8th grade, and this basketball team has been everything to me.
So what was something that you worked on during the off season to make sure when the season opener comes in that you're ready to go full force?
Honestly, it was just getting bigger during the off season. I knew that me and the team, we were slightly not as strong as last year as we are this year. We obviously added a new addition named Adimene Badmus. We've added Marcus Brunson from Revere. We've also added a freshman from Peabody named Henry Maraca. So obviously we've reloaded.
I've just been working hard through these years to get my game up, and it's crazy that I'm only 26 points away from 1,000.
And I see that you got them, the conditioning aspect, you got them going hard with the conditioning. Is that something that you guys are going to do this year, play up tempo, so that's why they got to stay in shape?
Oh, without a doubt. We have 10 or 12 guys that want to earn some varsity minutes, so we tell guys we want to try to play as fast as we can. So we're trying to get in the best possible shape we can get into.
When we come into the gym, we have to practice harder. So whenever we do certain drills like the shuttle drill or transition defense, it's about talking, and that makes us more of a team. This season, for us, the main thing that our coach has been stressing to us is about crashing the boards. We have 6'6", 6'5", and 6'8" all in the starting lineup, especially with Jalen, who can jump and help us rebound, and Josh Perez, who's a big guard. We're focused on crashing the boards, and on defense, just using our length to our advantage.
Looking back when you first started in 8th grade and to this point now, what was some of the improvements that you saw in your game as the years progressed?
I had to grow up. I couldn't be that little kid anymore. I had to get used to the high school basketball. varsity, playing varsity as the 8th grader. You know, I couldn't step down. I had to pick my game up and stuff like that.
Honestly, the thing for me is my defense. I know that people know that I'm a good defensive player, but for me it was about becoming a better offensive player. Not just shooting or going to the paint, but my IQ.
Now, did playing football kind of help you, is going to help you with the physical aspect this year? You know, taking all those hits during the football season. I know you're one of the key players on offense, so a lot of teams are going to try to get physical with you. So how do you think football helped you in that aspect?
It definitely helped me physically. Taking those hits, you know, they hurt. It makes you tougher, though. It makes you want to keep going, keep getting those hits so you're used to it. And during basketball, you know, you're going through the lane, you get slapped. You're not gonna like complain for a foul.
Obviously, losing Stephen Farmer, you know, it was a big loss for us, considering that he had the ball in his hands a lot as a point forward last year. And we're gonna move Jalen to the point, and with Ademide being an addition on the team, give us a big-time low post scorer who can also step out to the foul line area and make the open jump shot.
The past couple seasons, you guys made deep runs in the state tournament last year. You guys were a game away from the Garden. So what is it going to take for this year for this team to get over that hump and get back to the Garden?
Yeah, we went to the Garden game 2 years in a row, and last year we lost the game before, which was heartbreaking. So guys are definitely hungry for that. But our motto was, you know, we take one game at a time. We try to work one practice at a time. You know, but you know, the guys had that tough loss last year. Some of the football kids had a tough loss the other day in the Super Bowl, so they know what it feels like to lose a tough game. So you know, that definitely keeping them motivated.
Last year, we weren't really like a family. You know, during practice we were fighting all the time, like off the court, fighting, arguing. This year we had to become a family. Becoming a family, stick together through everything, and that's what's gonna take us far.
Your dad was state champion. You know, your brother's Mr. 2,000 points. You almost on the verge of 1,000 points. Who's the best shooter in the family right now? Who's the best shooter?
They can't guard me.
At all?
They can't guard me.
All right. I want to thank him, man. He's going to have a great season. Everybody come out and support St. Mary's this season. They're on that state tournament run, state championship. That's what we're looking for. So come out and support them. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
No problem. December 7th, Pistol Pete tournament. Pistol Pete Classic. December 14th, season opener.
Season opener. Hopefully, Jalen will be going for his 1,000 that night. So come on and support the Spartans and Jalen on that night as well.
All right, go Spartans. You guys been watching Athletes Corner. We're done.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. And we are back. All right. College football. The Heisman Trophy presentation happened this past weekend, and yeah, Kyler Murray is the Heisman Trophy winner. This is back-to-back Oklahoma quarterbacks winning the Heisman Trophy. There's a little controversy because a lot of people thought Tua should have won it. I thought Tua should have won it as well, just because of the season he had and the season that whole team had. But I mean, they gave it to Kyler Murray. What did you think?
I'll be honest, I'm not like, you know, a big college football guy. But for me not to be a big college football guy, for me to hear so much about Tua and me barely hear anything about this other guy, what's his name again?
Kyler Murray.
That's my point. I barely know who this guy is, so that just tells you what I be honest, I barely heard about Kyler Murray all season. I heard his name, but you see Tua everywhere. Yeah. So it's like, who is this guy just to pop out of nowhere?
And especially with Tua, he barely played the fourth quarter majority of the games. He was putting up all these numbers, and he was only playing 3 quarters each game, except probably the last 2 games, or I think he probably played the fourth quarter 3 games this entire season. So, I mean,
maybe that might have hurt him.
Yeah.
Even though it shouldn't.
No, it should not.
He should have walked into the Heisman Trophy because of that.
Yeah, especially the numbers he put up. But Murray, because Kyler Murray is a product of that Oklahoma Big 12 terrible defense that they don't play defense in the Big 12. But I mean, Murray had a great season. I think he had over 51 touchdowns. He was 3rd in the nation in passing. So I mean, Dwayne Haskins, he was the guy. He had a great season too. I think he was Big 10 all-time leader for touchdowns in a single season. Okay. I think he had like 47 or 49. He had a great season, but there was so much going on with Ohio State that nobody paid attention to him. And that loss to Purdue kind of been like, that hampered him. Yeah. But if it was any other year, Haskins probably would have won the Heisman Trophy just because of the numbers he put up. But Kyler Murray, I mean, congrats, but I think the voters got it wrong. I think Tua was the winner. I think he outplayed everybody this season. And the crazy thing is, Murray, he's going to be playing baseball next year.
Yeah, that's a killer. That's a killer for your Heisman Trophy player, not even be a professional football player. And like, I'm not knocking the man. I just literally have not heard of him all year. Like, and I watch ESPN quite often. Like, they don't really cover him like that, or Oklahoma like that.
Well, it's the Big 12. I have my opinions on the Big 12. But shout out to my homegirl Jennifer Matthews. She's an Oklahoma graduate. That's my homie. So, congrats on another Heisman Trophy for you and your school. But we know who the true Heisman winner is. All right. All right, let's get into our predictions. Let me just bring up these scores. We got the schedule up. We didn't have predictions last week for good reasons because,
I would have won.
Yeah, it was. All right, so we're going to start off Chargers, Chiefs, Thursday Night Football.
Chiefs.
Going with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Chargers just to say something opposite. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Texans versus the Jets.
Texans.
This is in New York. I have this thing about not picking New York teams, but you know what? I'm not going to pick a New York team. Texans. Browns and Broncos.
Browns.
This is at Mile High Stadium. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
With the Browns.
Buccaneers versus the Ravens.
Ravens.
I will go. This is in Baltimore. It's Ravens. Yeah.
So you can see who's home and away. I can't even see that. You over here cheating.
Dolphins, Vikings. It's in Minnesota.
Thanks, you. Appreciate it. Dolphins.
Minnesota plays better at home. I'm going with these home. The Vikings. Redskins, Jaguars. This is in Jacksonville.
Washington.
The team from Washington. Yeah, because I can't trust nothing on the Jaguars. Oakland and Cincinnati. At Cincinnati. I am going to go with the Raiders just because I know a couple Bengals fans and I've never picked the Bengals. Seahawks, 49ers. This is in San Fran.
I'm going with the Seahawks, man.
I will go with San Fran, and Kittle is going to break that tight end record. It ain't going to happen, but I'm just talking nonsense. But I am going to go with San Fran. Primetime game, Patriots, Steelers, Heinz Field.
Pats, man.
Cardinals, Falcons. I'm going with the Pats, too. Yeah, this is a pick'em game. It's in Atlanta.
You said Cardinals, Falcons?
Yeah.
Cardinals. I don't ever want to pick Atlanta.
Me either. Cardinals. Buffalo and Detroit. This is in Buffalo.
I'm going to go Buffalo.
I'm going to go with Detroit just because Patricia knows the Bills.
Okay.
The Bears and the Packers, and this is at Soldier Field.
The Bears.
And the Cowboys, Colts.
Who'd you pick?
Oh, I'm going with the Bears. Cowboys, Colts, Indianapolis. It's in Indy.
I'm going to go with them Cowboys, man.
I will go with the Colts just because they have a good thing rolling. That win streak got to end at some point. Titans, Giants. This is in New York as well.
I'm going to go with Titans.
I'll go with the Titans as well. Eagles, Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, Rams. And Saints, Panthers.
Saints.
Panthers. We're out of here. High school basketball season gets underway today, 7 p.m. Lynn English plays Charlestown. Everybody got their game. They had the women's basketball team got the game Friday. And just go out and support everybody. We're out of here.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, good luck.